was.
Okay, Ms. McDowell, when you're ready, I'm ready.
All right, cool. All right, go for it. Thank you, sir. Thanks, Corey.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Thank you for being here, and thanks for hopping on. And I'm sure you could have been doing many things on a Thursday evening. It was a gorgeous day. I'd enjoy myself. I have a nice walk this afternoon, so I hope you have some time to enjoy yourself today. But we're here for a very special reason, because there's some information that we want to share with you tonight, that there's this blind spot that we don't know that we don't know. So when we got a blind spot, I'd like to expose that. So we got Mr. Otis McDowell here to share that with us, what those blind spots are that we don't know we have them. So first of all, Mr. Otis McDowell is a dad first, and his mission is to inspire, empower, and transform lives of families ready for change now through generational transformation to find their purpose, create wealth, and live an extraordinary life. He's a certified information service, security service professional, and a living benefits specialist. But it wasn't always like this. He had a near-death experience. He could not work and even lift his babies for over 4 months. Suffered a major financial loss, and through, like most Canadians, he thought he was fully covered with life, car, home, group insurance from his wife's workplace. But the deck of cards crumbled, and his blind spot was exposed after being hit with an airbag on the Highway 401. He soon learned that he had nothing that would pay him tax-free cash, so he could pay his bills, mortgage, car, home, life insurance, food, and diapers for his kids. He realized that most families have the same blind spot, and they are simply unaware how vulnerable their financial house is, and are one sickness interaction away from financial ruin without living benefits. So he decided to dedicate his life to help families bulletproof their financial future, find their purpose, create wealth, and live an extraordinary life. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I want to make sure that you take good notes when you, Mr. Otis McDowell, we share tonight the information that he's about to share. And please ask as many questions you would like at the end of the session, because he's ready to expose and share what we don't know. So, Mr. Otis McDowell, no further ado, sir. Please enlighten us those blind spots and help us to navigate through this financial situation. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Alain, thank you very much. I appreciate that warm introduction, and I'm really honored to be on this call today to be able to help us uncover those blind spots like you talked about, right? Alain just came in. Let's just put it mute her. All right, awesome. All right, so what we're going to talk about today is something that I call Life 101. I think it resonates with all of us, and it's very, very important because, we're all busy people. We're all working. And, at some point in our lives, our ultimate goal is that we want to be able to retire at some point, right? All this hard work and everything like that, I want to be able to retire. I'm a guy I love the beach. I love to hang out on the beach. That's my happy place. And I think retirement in itself is a privilege. It's not, it's a privilege to be able to retire. It's not a right. You can definitely retire tomorrow if you have enough passive income to be able to do that. Not everybody is that fortunate. So in order to do that, get retired, go to retirement, we all need something. There's an ingredient before that, and it's called savings. We need that savings, and when I talk about savings here, I group it all up in terms of, crypto, real estate, whatever you want to call it. All those things, all your investments and everything, put it all into one category called savings for the simplicity of this presentation, okay? So we need those savings. We need those savings. We need those investments in order to be able to retire. Now, most people start somewhere, right? We all start off working. And we work. Why do we work? We usually work to earn some money, right? And of course, by earning money, what do? We got to pay something that's very, very common to all of us. And those things are called bills. I don't know about you, but we all live in Canada here. And we have, one big bill we have is our taxes for sure. And there's always bills, right? So bills never stop. We got to work. We got to earn money. We got to pay our bills. Usually, if you have money left over, you go into savings, right? And one day, you're hoping that you'll be able to retire. ideally if all goes well. And we know that if there's any deterrence to this plan, it can either delay that retirement or degrade the savings or something like that. So we've actually found that one thing for sure is that bills never take a vacation. Bills are always there. And there's only two things that can mess up this cycle, in my estimation. And those two things are, you've heard it before, an accident or sickness. You turn the news on all the time, you can hear it. You turn on 680 News every day, you're hearing, there's an accident here on the 401 or, CP24, there's, somebody always sick or somebody's hurt. It's always there. The great thing is, every day, if it's not you, just be grateful that it's not you. So, but these things are happening all the time. So, like I said, there's only two things that can mess up this cycle: an accident or a sickness. And if that happens, usually, we're not talking about little boo boos here. Say the person is unable to work, right? Maybe a couple of days, maybe a couple of months, who knows, right? It could be devastating. We know the bills continue all the time. And if they're not able to work, they're not able to generate income. And if you're not generating income, how are you going to pay those bills, right? So sometimes, if it's too prolonged, you probably need some help. And that's where, we're going to talk a little bit more, because what's going to happen? You're going to deplete your savings. And before you know it, I know one thing for sure, is that those savings are not finite. So if something really happens and you deplete those savings, the savings are finite, right? They're not infinite. So you're going to deplete savings, and what happens is you start increasing your debt load, maybe line of credit, credit cards, all that stuff. I've been there before. So these things are real, and that's what happens if the cycle gets messed up. So here's the thing, we're living longer, not necessarily healthier. A lot of Canadians, this poor guy here never thought his retirement plan was going to be this sign here, right? It's an unfortunate reality. But definitely, you're seeing it every day. People are living longer, not necessarily healthier, right? And we all need a solution. So let's just talk about how can we protect this concept called retirement. How do you protect the retirement? Those savings, that nest egg that we're all saving towards. Now, what do? The best way to protect your retirement is to protect your savings. And the best way to protect your savings is to protect your ability to pay your bills. So think about it like this logically. If you can protect your ability to pay your bills, so you never have to tap into those savings will be there to facilitate that retirement, right? And that's ideally what you want. But in order to do that, let's just talk about what most Canadians have. As an advisor, I talk to people all the time, and most definitely, I know they have life insurance, right? So I'm sure most of you here may have a life insurance. So what is life insurance? Life insurance is ideally there to cover the people that actually leave something for your loved ones that you leave behind. But what happens? Somebody has to die first, unfortunately, right? Usually somebody has to die before life insurance pays. And then what's the next thing? That's very common. Car insurance. You have car insurance. And what happens when you have car insurance? Well, guess what? Car insurance is there to cover the car, ideally, right? That's why it's called car insurance. It's a specific type of insurance. It's for the car. Fire, flood, theft, liability. And likewise, we have home insurance. Home insurance is there to protect the home, for fire, flood, theft. Same thing. Just fire, flood, theft, liability. That's what home insurance is there for. And then most commonly, I get, hey, somebody has, say, WSIB. What is WSIB there for? Workplace Safety and Insurance Board covers the person 8 hours per day on the job only. So it's actually limited just to the confines of work. What happens if somebody's outside of work? What happens if they're playing with their kids at home? What happens if they're walking the dog down the street? Is WSIB going to cover you? I don't think so. And then most importantly, I know some business owners, they may have business insurance. So business insurance is similar to car home. It covers the liability, fire, flood, theft for the business. And then most popular, I get excited talking about this part here, because I see a lot of people thinking they're fully covered because they have group benefits. Group benefits is those things where you get from your job, where you have massage, acupuncture, prescription drugs, dental, vision care, and all that. It's great to have. Don't get me wrong. It's a beautiful thing to have, so you can go get the massages and, use that service. But one thing is common that we've discovered, and here's a blind spot that you may have never thought about. If you use those services, who usually gets paid? So God forbid there's an accident and somebody gets sick or they hurt. Your bills continue. Wouldn't you agree? Your bills at home continues. So if your bills are coming fast and furious, like the mortgage, the rent, the car payment, life insurance, food, diapers for the kids if you have kids, those bills, those things that are in your budget, those are mandatory bills. And if those are still coming, can you go to your dentist and ask your dentist, can you give me $2,000 or whatever to pay your mortgage or your rent? You can't ask any of those providers because these things are designed to literally pay the provider, right? It's paying the chiropractor, it's paying the dentist, it's paying the vision care person. That's what those things are designed to do. They're not designed to give you cash to help you pay your everyday bills. And we actually found a solution to that. And the solution that we have actually found is a solution called a living benefit. And why is it that we need a living benefit? I think everybody needs a living benefit because we have to pay our bills. And the bills never stop, right? Bills continue day on and day out. And the benefits that pays, living benefits are simply benefits that pays you when you're alive, not when you're dead. Okay? Because when do you need money? You need money now to pay those bills. Remember, the bills never go on vacation, right? So the bills are always coming. You need something that's always going to be coming in to help you pay for those additional bills. Okay, so let's just talk about this for a second. We've actually found the company, and we're excited to share this with you today, that is changing the landscape of the insurance industry, right? So it's insurance, but not like you know it. I can guarantee you that for sure. So stay tuned. We're going to share with you about Combine Insurance, the company that we represent today. And that Combine Insurance has been around since 1922, believe it or not. They were founded in the United States in 1922. And of course, they were launched in Canada in 1956. That's basically over 60 plus years serving Canadians. So if you haven't heard about Combine before, I take kudos to the person who invited you because I truly believe they cared a lot about you to be able to share this information with you. I think it's probably one of the best kept secrets ever. And it's there's a reason for that. Combine Insurance, when they started back in the day, their niche market was farmers and it's a combine tractor. So they've been serving farmers for the last 100 plus years, right? So we're a 101-year-old company, and we've been serving farmers. And now you're hearing about Combine because Combine is actually expanding into the cities, and this is why somebody was able to invite you to a presentation like this, because now we want more people in the cities to be able to know about Combine and to be able to apply the same solutions that the farmers have been enjoying, protecting farmers whenever they get sick and injured from losing the farm. So that's important to know. The other thing is, we have served millions of policyholders around the world in 10 countries over 90 plus years, right? And we're actually a global company, believe it or not, even though you haven't heard about us before. So that's important. Now, let's talk about our products and services and what type of coverage we offer. A lot of people know about life and home and car and all that stuff. However, we specialize in accident insurance and sickness insurance. And that's totally different from traditional disability, right? Critical illness, we have a little bit of disability, we have a little bit of life insurance. But I'm going to be talking about a lot about life insurance, accident insurance, sickness insurance, and critical illness. Those are my primary focus today and how we do that differently in the industry. Okay? So, we're owned by Chubb. Who's Chubb? Chubb is the largest publicly traded property and casualty insurer in the world. And they're also owned by ACE. So, we literally have rich grandparents that combine insurance here. Chubb was actually founded in 1882. They're multi-billion-dollar company, and of course, Combine in itself is rated A plus superior by AM Best. AM Best, who's AM Best? Is a third-party company that rates the reliability insurance companies, their financial strength, and the rating of their management. Right. So we're actually rated by AM Best, and of course, AM Best, we have an A plus superior rating. I think that's very, very important to note. An A plus superior rating is a top-notch rating. So imagine if your kid came home and they had an A plus. When my kids come home and they say, "Hey, Dad, I get an A plus," I'm like, "Wow, awesome job." That's what everybody wants, an A plus rating, right? So we pride ourselves on doing that. The other thing you want to know is, does the company pay out claims? I think that's the most important question you need to have answered. And of course, yes, we do pay out claims. We paid over $26.3 billion since inception. That's since 1922. Over $26.3 billion. That's a lot of money. Billion with a B, that's a lot of money. Of course, every single day we pay at least $2.5 million each and every working day. And of course, in Canada alone, we've paid over 106 million in benefits in Canada alone. So lots of money, lots of credibility there, and that's important. So I have a really serious question for you, and I really want you to ponder and think about this for a moment. How would your finances be affected if you couldn't work due to an accident or illness? Say Farmer Joe is on this farm and he falls off the tractor, hits his head, he ends up in a hospital or something. You know, he needs a solution. He can't run the farm anymore, right? So how would your finances be affected if you couldn't work due to an accident or an illness? I want you to pause and imagine that for a second. Do you have a solution in place for that? Okay. So let's just talk about it. My recommendation is purely this. It's living benefits. I believe wholeheartedly that we need a solution, and that solution is having a living benefit. Benefit that's going to pay you in your life, not when you're dead, for accident and sickness, and also for critical illness coverage. So let's just jump into the main topic for today, which is the accident and sickness plan that we offer. And this is, for me, this is a proprietary plan. I have never seen anything like it. And we have accident only, we have sickness only, and we have both accident and sickness coverage. The sickness plan is available today with no pandemic restrictions, and it covers COVID-19. We just came out of this pandemic, and all our clients who had our coverage was actually paid during the time when they had COVID, right? So that's important to know. We cover sickness. So let's just talk about the accident for starters. There's no medical examination. The accident is automatically issued, no medical. Sickness, of course, there's a simplified questionnaire. Very, very simple. I'll show you later. And you can qualify for that. The other thing is, the hospital, here's our key features on the plan. So it covers for catastrophic loss. So if somebody's in a hospital, say somebody has a car accident, they end up in the hospital for a couple of days, guess what? This plan is going to pay them $300 per day. And it's going to pay on top of any other plan. Right? Pays from the very first day up to 1 year. And most importantly, there's no waiting period. So unlike disability, this is kind of what we call a time loss plan. There's no income verification here, and it's a truly supplemental benefit. So that's a key word I want you to write down if you're taking notes. Supplemental benefits. It pays on top of WSIB, pays on top of EI, and it pays on top of disability. And that's important to note because it doesn't matter what type of insurance you already have. You always need extra money coming in should something like this happen, right? So it's important for you to have a supplemental benefit. 1 second here. So let's just continue. Protection until age 85. And why is that important? Because a lot of times I see plans that may end at 65, 75, because most people have their plans linked to their workplace, right? So if they leave their job, guess what? That's a blind spot. You don't have any plans if you leave your workplace, right? And the plans are covering you 24/7, US and Canada. So not only in Canada, but it's also in the United States also. And that's important to know. Unlike WSIB, that covers only 8 hours per day on the job only. So this is a great addition to that. It covers you from, you're qualified from 6 months to 69 years old. Everybody qualifies for accidents once you're between 6 months to 69 years old. And then, of course, it goes on until age 85. So that's amazing. There's no occupational restriction on this policy. What do I mean by that? This is the exciting part about it. So the person could be a bomb diffuser. It doesn't really matter, right? What your occupation is. Unlike disability, some people can get insurance because of their occupation. Especially when it comes to disability stuff. Some like hairstylists can get plans and all that. Some risky occupation can get a coverage. But in this particular plan here, doesn't matter what your occupation is. It could be a bomb diffuser, like I said. Dangerous as it is, you could actually get this accident plan. So that's something that's make it very, very unique. Now, let's talk about how it actually covers it the second way. So imagine if somebody is in an ICU. ICU, nobody plans on being in an ICU. But wake up in an ICU, for example, right? Due to maybe a car accident or something, somebody wakes up in an ICU. This is going to pay an additional $1,200 per day, right? And that's important to know. We have one story right now where this kid got hit by a cement truck, ended up in the ICU. He's actually still in the ICU right now. Imagine the family being paid $1,500 per day for every day in an ICU. And of course, this goes from the very first day up to 1 year. That's important too. There's no waiting period. And of course, this is how it translates. So 10 days in an ICU at a rate of $1,500 per day, that's $15,000. 30 days in an ICU, rate of $1,500, that's $45,000. 100 days in an ICU, that's $150,000. That can be tax free. So that's amazing. That's a lot of money. And I can hear you. You're starting to say, wow, oh my God, is it so good to be true? Just remember, we've been doing this for 101 years. So we specialize in this type of stuff. So can your savings survive 9 weeks in an ICU? That's my question to you right now. Can your savings actually survive 9 weeks in an ICU? Well, this poor guy here, he was one of the first guys that, I remember having COVID-19 that hit the news. And imagine if he had our plan, he would have gotten thousands of dollars for the 9 weeks in an ICU. Can your plan survive 9 weeks in ICU? Not quite sure. Now, here's the other thing that makes us very unique and makes us very, very unique. I've never seen this anywhere else. It's called a recovery benefit following hospital confinement. Say somebody's in a hospital, even 1 day, minimum 20 hours, for example. We're going to cover and pay 10-day minimum recovery benefit. So instead of paying just for 1 day, we're paying for 11 days. And then we're timesing it by the rate of $300 per day. That's literally $3,300. So we pay from the very first day, for 1 to 3 days, we're going to pay 10 days minimum recovery. And after 3 days, we're going to pay, the doctor said just total disabled, we're going to pay 3 times the number of days you're admitted to the hospital. So this is how it translates real quick. So 1 day in a hospital with a 10-day minimum recovery, paying at 11 days times 300, that's $3,300. Ladies and gentlemen, I did say it. We pay $3,300 for 1 day in a hospital. Imagine that. That is crazy. I don't know about you, but that can pay my mortgage. So this is serious money for serious things. Now, 2 days in a hospital, we're going to pay $3,600 because we're using the same computation. 2 days plus that 10-day recovery. 3 days, we're going to pay $3,900 because we're still paying that 10-day minimum recovery plus the 3 days in the hospital at a rate of $300 per day. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it gets even better. Now, if your doctor says you're still total disabled after 3 days, we're going to still pay 5 days. Say, for example, 5 days. We're going to be 5 days in a hospital at a rate of 3 times. So instead of 10-day recovery, we're going to pay 3 times that amount. So say 5 days in a hospital, 5 trees is 15 days of recovery, plus the 5 the person is in. That's 20 days times 300. That's now $6,000. Imagine, 5 days in a hospital, the person gets paid $6,000. That's starting to shape up big time. I think that can take out a lot of bills, especially if you're self-employed, you have a business, all that stuff. A lot of my business owners, they love this because of the fact that it pays that much. 10 days in a hospital, guess what? Same math, that's $12,000. 30 days in a hospital, that's going to be $36,000 using that same computation. So this plan scales when you need it the most. And that's what I love about it. It's scalable. More time somebody's in a hospital, for example, it's going to pay. So imagine somebody there is for 100 days. Farmer Joey fell off his tractor and he's in a coma or something and he's in the hospital. And now he's there for 100 days. But out of 100 days, we're paying $120,000, right? But imagine if during that time, he was actually in the hospital in the ICU portion for 30 days. That's a separate rate. So 30 days times 1,200, that's now $36,000 for the ICU, plus the 100 days. So 120 plus 36, that's a whopping $156,000. So this plan is what really makes it unique. If somebody really needs the money because they had something serious where they're hospitalized for a couple of days or, a couple of weeks, couple of months, this can definitely change and affect that person's family, because the family still needs to go on and the family needs money, right? And they can do a partial claim and still get that money going to their family and their kids at home and stuff like that. So it's amazing. It's a life changer. Now, the other thing is outpatient surgery, recovery, or fracture. So what if the person is not hospitalized? That's the main thing. The first 3 things I talked about is all about based on hospitalization. I'm sure you're saying, hey, what if you're not hospitalized? Well, if you have an outpatient surgery, recovery, or fracture, then guess what? We're going to also pay. And we're going to pay at a rate of $300 per day, up to a maximum of 14 days. That's $4,200. So therefore, a broken arm, broken leg, or a fractured tooth, person gets $4,200. Hey, it's better than zero for sure. Because most people, if they get a broken arm, broken leg right now, they're getting nothing, right? No money coming to them, so they can cover their bills during that time. So that's amazing. The other thing is we cover the ambulance. I don't know about you, but in Ontario here, listen, if you take the ambulance, they're going to charge you. They're going to send you a bill. We cover up to $600 on our top plan there. So that's important to know. My question to you is, how much do you pay to insure your house right now? Well, I pay $1,000 to insure my house. I'm sure a lot of you do. And how much do you pay to insure your car? Well, car insurance these days is expensive. It's always keep going up and all that stuff, right? So car insurance is expensive. So your car, your home is insured. My question to you is, how much do you pay to actually insure yourself? Or even better, your entire family? right? Because the car and home can be replaced. However, your family is irreplaceable. So look at all the benefits: hospital confinement, daily ICU, recovery benefit following outpatient surgery and fracture, ambulance reimbursement. This is our top plan, ladies and gentlemen. And it's guaranteed renewable until age 85. So even after retirement, you're playing golf, going to Florida, traveling, all that stuff. Guess what? It's there to cover you up till age 85. And we offer you the highest level of accident protection, $300 per day. Okay? So that being said, how much does that cost? Well, it's only $56 a month. And when you really put it into perspective, it's less than a tank of gas a day. I mean, less than a tank of gas per month, right? Like, you only have to buy that. How many times do you have to buy gas these days? I know for a fact that my tank, I can't fill it up for less than $70 these days, right? So $56 is the price of a cup of coffee. And I think before they increased the price, because the double used to be $1.86 at the Tim Hortons, but now I think it's like $1.92. So they raised the price since COVID, right? Our price still remains the same. So that's the most important thing. For $1.86, you can cover at the top plan, but there's no excuse not to have the plan. And if that's a little bit too much for you, guess what? $28 for our mid-range plan, which covers you for half the range here. Instead of $300 per day, it's $150. And if that's still not enough, then we can do a $75 per day, and that's at $14 per month, which is literally 50 cents per day. So we have a plan at 50 cents per day. We have a plan at less than $1 a day, and we have a plan at less than a toonie a day. Hey, whichever suits your budget. But most importantly, what I love about the plan, this is an example of how it actually pays out. So even on the $14 plan, you can notice that at a rate of $75 per day, 1 day in a hospital, that's $825. If this person spends, say, 30 days in a hospital with a recovery benefit and all, that could pay even $9,000. So it's a lot of money that can be paid out here. And you choose the plan that's best for you. Okay? The other thing is, I love family plan. I'm a family guy, so I love the fact that Combine has family plans. So imagine if I had to pay, I have 3 kids, a gorgeous wife, and, for us, $56 times 5, that would have been $280. What I love is the fact that, and you can get this too, is that we get a family discount, right? So 56 times 5, 280. Instead of paying $280 for the top plan, I pay $136. That's a 50% discount. Imagine if you have even more kids, then you actually get even more discounts on that. So even the minimum plan at $75 benefit, it's only $34 to insure an entire family. That's $1.12 per day. There's no excuse not to have. If you have a family right now and you're not covered for stuff like this, there's no excuse. It's as simply as $34, no brainer. Less than a tank of gas, you can get your entire family covered. That's amazing. Now, are you concerned about the fourth wave? Will this be the last pandemic? Those are questions in the buzzwords. So many people are talking about it. If COVID is going to be coming back or whatever is going to be happening. So there is definitely a need, ladies and gentlemen, because we don't know the future. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell what's coming around the corner. What we do know is the facts. The facts here is our sickness policy covers any illness, any disease, including complication due to pregnancy. So that means when COVID rolled around, hey, guess what? We knew the same definition was there. We haven't changed anything. Guess what? COVID was covered. And all future pandemics are covered. And if there's chicken pox, whatever other smallpox or whatever other thing they can come up with, right? The whole idea is any illness, any disease, including complication due to pregnancy. I think that is worth its weight in gold. Knowing that you have a plan that in the future, you're going to be covered for any sickness. Okay? So that's important to know. There's a simplified questionnaire for that. And it looks pretty much like this. In the last 5 years, have you had a heart attack, stroke, cancer, all this stuff? And that's pretty much it. Right? There's no blood, there's no urine. Say no to those questions, you pretty much qualify. Simplified weight check also. Now, let's talk about the family plan. We do have family plan coverage on the sickness. And I get excited talking about this part because you know what? I had a client that nobody got sick or hurt. They had a family plan, and basically the family plan covered mommy, daddy, and the lady had lupus, which is a pre-existing condition. And also they had a baby, and that baby was premature. The baby was simply in the ICU. So nobody got sick or hurt. Baby was just growing in an ICU, and they got paid $33 $100,000. We got another case where there were twins, and that they actually got $67,000. So those are two amazing claims when we talk about families, because what we do, we also cover the unborn child on our sickness policy, and that's important. If you know anyone that's pregnant today, definitely reach out to the person who invited you and let them know about it, because you could have covered that unborn child. That's a gift in itself. I remember having one client where their child was born with a hearing defect, and automatically at birth they were covered, no proof of insurability. So very amazing thing. Now, in terms of the sickness coverage, there's a 2-year pre-existing clause for people who may have some pre-existing conditions like Crohn's, lupus, Lyme disease, sickle cell, uh, ulcers, and all that stuff. There's a 2-year pre-existing clause. What this means is that we're not going to deny you claim. We're going to deny you coverage. Sorry. We're going to make sure that if you have a pre-existing condition like that, I always use, say, for example, sickle cell. Person is born with that. They already know they have the condition. It's already documented all through their medical history that they have a pre-existing condition. We're not going to cover it for the first 2 years. So if they're, say, 30, 31 right now, it's not covered, right? Just giving that as an example. But after 2 years, 32 onwards up to age 85, you're going to be fully covered for that condition. And most importantly, all the conditions that they don't have from day one, they're going to be automatically covered. So they're covered for everything else. And there's a 2-year pre-existing clause just on the particular sickness, whether it's sickle cell or lupus or whatever. And after 2 years, now they're fully covered until age 85. I think that's amazing. Instead of saying, hey, the person doesn't qualify, period, for coverage. So that's important to know. Now we're going to jump and talk about something that we do that's a little bit different, and it's critical illness. So you've probably heard about CI before, critical illness in the industry. We've set out to solve a problem at Combined Insurance, and I believe we've actually solved that problem. Because based on research, most times Canadians don't have critical illness because it's expensive. That's the common reason why they don't have it, right? Critical illness, especially after age 40, it's a little bit pricey. So Combined has actually set out on a mission to solve that problem by making it more affordable. We have two types. We have a lump sum. You could get maybe 10, 15, 20, or 150 or $100,000 coverage, depending on your budget. And of course, we have a daily benefit pair, which is very, very exclusive to Combined Insurance. It pays daily. It's just not a lump sum one. And most importantly, both are lifetime. So that's what I love about it. I'm going to talk about it in a second. But we all know the stats for cancer. They say half Canadians, 50%, 1 in 2 Canadians getting cancer, God forbid. And, that's kind of the stats there. I'm just going to go over that. Stroke, there's 1 every 10 minutes that's happening. Heart attacks, there's 1 every 7 minutes. It's a crazy stat. And of course, they talk about blood clots after COVID-19, affecting young adults and all that stuff. So we know we've all seen the news, and it gets crazy from time to time. However, there's a solution. So our Cancer Care Protector policy, which is very, very unique, covers cancer, heart attack, and stroke. And why is that important? Because those are the big three. Those are the big three that most people are concerned about: cancer, heart attack, and stroke. So we figured if we can find a solution that's affordable, more Canadians can afford it, and more Canadians can be covered for the big three. And that's what we've done here. So how does this work? It complements the other policy that we talk about, our sickness policy here, because that not only covers any sickness, but what this actually does, it actually enhances that, right? So it covers for cancer only. We have cancer only if you're not so healthy. You can get cancer only coverage, like we have some diabetics that are on insulin that can qualify for cancer only coverage. If you're very, very healthy, guess what? You can definitely qualify for cancer, heart attack, and stroke. That's top coverage. That covers those three main things. And it's lifetime, level cost, and it's multiple pays. What do we mean by lifetime? So, sometimes I hear people say, hey, I got a CI policy, but guess what? It ends at 65, 75. I'm going like, wow, that's kind of crazy. Why is there a CI policy ending at 65 or 75? That's the time you're going to be retired. I mean, if you didn't need it before 65 or 75, then I think it only makes sense that if you're ever going to need it, you're going to need it way past that, like after 65. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah, that would make common sense. It's like, so to me, that's like taking off your snow tires in the middle of winter. Imagine putting your snow tires on in December, and then you're taking them off in like January. That doesn't make sense, right? So that's kind of what happens if your CI is going to expire at 65, 75. So what we have is a lifetime. So if you live till 150 years old, great, awesome, you get that covered. And its level cost is multiple pay. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit more. So hospital confinement, cancer, heart attack, and stroke. Somebody is in a hospital, we're going to pay at a rate of $200 per day. Plus, we also pay a recovery benefit similar to the other one, but it's a 3-time recovery, right? This one is 3 times, so 3 times 2 is 600. 600 plus 200, that's $800 per day we're going to pay if somebody's in a hospital. And most importantly, how it complements our other sickness policy is that a lot of times people are doing, say, chemo radiation treatment in a hospital. They're in an outpatient facility and they're not hospitalized. So if they do that, we're going to pay at $200 per day plus the 3-time recovery. That's $800 per day. So how does this look? I'm going to show you an example here. So that's $800 per day. So the person buys this policy, right? Nothing happens in the first year, but say year 3 they have a stroke. 30 days in the hospital, we're going to pay $24,000. 30 times 800, that's $24,000. And of course, year 5 stroke happens again. 50 days in the hospital, we're going to pay $40,000. Say year 8, there's a heart attack. 20 days in a hospital, $16,000. That's amazing because this policy is what we call multiple pay. It keeps paying. It's not like a lump sum policy that just pays one time a big amount and then it terminates, right? That's traditionally how most CIs work. This one is proprietary. This one is very unique. Because now say it's year 12. Somebody has cancer. Okay, 1 day in a hospital. We pay the $800. But now they have to do 40 rounds of chemo. 40 times 800, that's $32,000. Cancer goes into remission. Hey, the policy actually doesn't terminate. It goes to sleep. And then it wakes back up. Say the person needed 10 years later, or 15 years later, or whatever. It's going to wake back up, and then it's going to pay when they need it the most. So that's the most unique feature on this plan. Cancer comes back 30 days, rounds of chemo, $24,000. Year 25, cancer comes back 20 rounds of chemo. It keeps paying, right? So that's how it keeps paying multiple times, multiple claim, lifetime coverage, and it keeps paying over and over. So we actually saved the best for last, right? Ladies and gentlemen, we promised that we made it affordable. How have we made it affordable? Because guess what? If you're between 18 and 44 right now, you could get a coverage from as low as $17.54. So there's no reason why not to have a plan. And if you're between that age group and your family needs coverage, you can get a coverage for your family as low as $31.91. Okay? And for the top plan, it's only $62.26. And if you're between the age of, say, 55 to 70 years old, there's no excuse either. There's $37.32 for the gold plan and $73.10 for the top plan here. Lifetime coverage, level cost, multiple pay plan. I think that is the solution to this big Canadian problem. Now, building a strong financial house. We all know about savings, investment, debt management, life insurance. I believe, just like most houses here in Canada, you have a basement level, the foundation of the entire plan. I personally believe income protection and living benefit is the foundation of that entire plan. And that's our competitive advantage. That's where we're different, ladies and gentlemen. We specialize for the last 101 years in income protection and living benefit. So, that being said, we know the bills, they're there for real. They never stop. They never take vacations. Accidents and sickness is a reality, right? The problem, we need to find a solution so that if that things happen in the future, at least we know we're covered. Most people have life insurance. You know that life insurance, somebody's got to pass, and then it leaves money for the people behind, right? What if you didn't die due to an accident or sickness, and you still have a pulse? My question is, who pays you if you still have a pulse, right? If you don't have a solution in place right now, we know the group benefits, it's great, massage, acupuncture, prescription drugs, but remember, you can't go to your dentist and ask your dentist $2,000 to pay your bills. So that's great, all good and dandy to have. However, it's never going to pay your bills. That's a blind spot. That is the blind spot. We've uncovered a blind spot. Now you're educated. Now you know different. Now you know better. So my question to you is, if you don't have a solution in place that's going to pay you if you still have a pulse, you definitely need a living benefit. That's my recommendation. So I want to make sure we get your questions answered. I'm going to open up the microphones right now and the session for questions. If you do have any questions based on your notes that you've taken, I would love to hear them right now. Who would like to go first? Just open your microphone and definitely go ahead, ask your questions, and we'll try to get as many questions answered before we end the presentation today. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate your patience. Okay, who wants to go first? Maybe we'll try Lolita, if she's still there. Or Vanessa. Kishan, do you have any? Hey, go ahead. Who's
Okay,
that? Vanessa?
Yeah, it's me.
Awesome.
Okay. I don't know if you can see me now. Okay,
Yeah, I
so
can see you.
okay, great. So just a question.
Yeah.
In regard, I'm not sure if you had mentioned it. It was a very good presentation, by the way. I enjoyed it very much, and I learned a
Thank
lot. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So in regards to like medical, like, is there like a medical that you have to pass in regards to like BMI? Because I found in the past, like if you have a couple extra pounds on you, the premiums can get higher. It can be different than the average person's premium. Does
Right.
that impact it at all, or?
No, we have a weight chart that we check, so you can definitely get back to the person who invited you. Usually, the question that I put on the board, those are the questions. There's really no blood, urine test, or anything like that for our hospital essential sickness policy.
Okay.
And then once you are within the weight guidelines, you're good to go.
Okay. So,
Right.
so there is a weight guideline.
Yeah, there is, but they're not going
Okay.
to. It's pretty lenient.
Okay.
However, we have, if somebody is way over the limit, then
Okay.
they won't go. So they'd have to
Just-
set a new goal to actually lose the weight to get back there. But the pricing,
Yeah.
pricing is pretty much standard right across the board.
Okay. Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Thanks.
All right, awesome. Any other questions? Thanks for your question, Vanessa.
Thank you.
Great smile.
Thank you.
All right. Who else has a question? I did. I hear you speaking. Yes.
Yeah. So like I have a question. Like I have heard like we can do the treatment in both Canada and US.
Mhm.
So is it like suppose sometimes it happens, right, that in Canada a lot of waiting is there, so we get a good hospital in US. So is it like that, or US can only be done on emergency if you are visiting US?
No, you can do US and Canada for sure. Just
Okay.
remember the plan here is a Canadian plan. That's the only thing I would say.
Okay.
And the prices are in Canadian dollars. The benefits are in Canadian dollars. So you don't necessarily want to be in the US if you don't have to.
Yeah, means often I heard like in Canada, so means even if though we have insurance, but in Canada everything is public, right? Means we can have a like for a particular surgery we can have 3-4 months waiting, but
Yeah.
in US maybe there is no waiting, and we drive or fly to suppose New York or Buffalo and get the surgery done. So in that case, will it be covered?
Yes, it will be covered in the US and Canada based on the rate. So based on how we explained it, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Always Ajit is my guest, and good questions.
Thanks.
Yeah. You feel thank you so much, Orvis, for the presentation. Feel free to ask any more questions if you have, Ajit.
Yeah, Ajit, if you have any more questions, definitely go ahead. So we can all benefit and learn from your questions too.
I'm going to actually leave you now, but thank you so much, very much. It was a really great presentation. I will talk to Joan about it.
Absolutely, Joan.
Forward.
Make sure you take advantage of the complementary needs analysis.
Yeah.
Okay.
That Joan can provide for you. That's our gift to you. So she can definitely help you to uncover your own blind spots for your portfolio and create a solution within a reasonable budget for you. So thank you for joining. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Is there any other questions from anybody else? Helen says, great presentation. Thanks, Helen. All right. So that being said, if there's Ajit, did you have another question?
No. So one question I have, like I have heard like regarding the income guard plan, because like when we have a job loss, so I have seen like there are like waiting periods of like we can select like 7 days, 14 days, 30 days. So if I select suppose 14 days, so does that mean that from the time I make the policy, after 14 days if I lose a job, so I will be covered?
If you lose a job?
If I lose the job, suppose today I make the policy and after 14 days I lose the job.
Okay, we don't cover for job loss.
Okay, but that is the income guard plan. I have heard that it covers.
Yeah, so if you're injured due to an accident or sickness, that's where we cover. All our policies are primarily for accident, sickness, critical illness, stuff like that. But we don't cover job loss.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
there is a confusion in understanding Ajit. And so what Ajit is saying is, today he gets a policy and after 14 days he loses his job. That's what you said, Ajit, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me rephrase. Income guard means if you get any disability due to any surgery and you cannot do your job, then you up to $5,000 for a maximum of 5 years, depending on what you have chosen. And yes, the waiting period, as I explained when I gave you the whole presentation, it could be 7 days, which means the benefit will begin after 7 days or 14 days or 30 days or 60 days, 90 days, 120 days or 180 days. So does that answer your question, Ajit?
Yeah. The only thing I was thinking that there is like also job loss covered. So that one is not covered. Okay, I understood. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, so that's a separate product from what we just described here. That's a different disability income product. So definitely you can take that offline. I'm sure Ankur should be able to answer as many questions as possible. We just discussed our hospital essentials, accident and sickness, and our family plans for cancer care and all that stuff here. So specifically, I just wanted to know if you guys had any more questions with regards to what we discussed on the presentation. And if there's no more questions, I would basically say thank you definitely for joining tonight, and really appreciate you attending, and asking your questions, and definitely get back to the person who invited you, because they have a special tool that we use. It's a very, very proprietary tool to be able to uncover to review your own situation, and definitely find the blind spots, especially in your portfolio, and literally be able to customize a plan at an affordable budget for you. So I'd highly recommend that you take advantage of that. That is our gift to you. Please do not pass up on that gift. All right? That being said, have a super awesome night. It was my pleasure serving you. And our next presentation will be next week, Tuesday, at same time, same place. All right? Have a super awesome night. Bye for now.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
Thanks, Arvind. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, guys. All right.